On October 1st, 1979, one of the most recognizable and best commercials ever created made its television debut, where the Coca-Cola company made a commercial starring Steelers Hall of Famer Mean Joe Greene. And the commercial that became known as the Hey Kid Catch became one of the most recognizable commercials to this day, over 40 years later. We're going to dive into how this commercial came together today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide, as you daily learn more about sports history, increasing your sports knowledge. And today's trivia question to listen out for is, what other football player almost got Mean Joe's role in the commercial? Now, the Coca-Cola company is one of the best marketers there has ever been from any United States company. And they've been advertising ever since the 1800s. And arguably their most impressive thing was Santa Claus, as the modern version of Santa Claus comes from an ad done by the Coca-Cola company. And they actually first started to get into sports advertising at the 1928 Olympic Games held in Amsterdam. And they've been a sponsor of the Olympic Games ever since. They've also sponsored the FIFA World Cup, multiple NASCAR events. At some point, they sponsored all of the 4 major North American sports leagues, as well as being a major sponsor of the Premier League and the Cricket World Cup. And everyone knows what Coke is. You know if you like it, you know if you don't. So why do they keep advertising? And it's really to be top of mind. When you think you want to drink, you think of Coke. Even though if you know you like Coke, you're probably going to get it anyway. They want them always on your mind. And in 1979, they had an idea for a commercial, for a jingle they had created called Coke and a Smile. And they wanted to show a battered down football player who wanted to drink a Coke and give a fan the chance for him to smile because he got a Coke, and give a fan a chance to smile because he helped him. And they asked multiple different NFL players for this role. And Joe Greene actually says it came down to him and Ray Nitschke of the Green Bay Packers. And Joe jokes that I think they went with me because Ray doesn't have any teeth. Which would have been an interesting commercial if it featured Ray. If he smiled and you saw just a guy with just a few teeth left in his mouth, it could have been a unique experience. So I could see why they want to go that way. But choosing Joe Greene was a unique option, as Joe was a dominant football player. He grew to be 6'4" and weigh over 275 pounds, almost the perfect size for a defensive tackle. He went on to play college at North Texas, who actually adopted his name as their team's moniker, as they are known as the Mean Green North Texas State. Now, it's debated whether they took his name from him or he took the name from them. As while he was there is when they kind of went from being known as the Eagles to being known as the Mean Green. And with his last name being Green, it kind of just stuck with him throughout his career. And so he became known as Mean Joe Greene. And he was a fiercely dominant player in the trenches and would play with a mean style. And it fit, as he won 4 Super Bowls, was Defensive Player of the Year for 2 years, was an All-Pro 8 times, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And at this time, he was coming towards the end of his career. He only played a few more seasons after this, but he had already made a name for himself. And so this was a perfect opportunity for Coke, as they saw they could show a softer side, as no one would want to go talk to Mean Joe. He's Mean Joe. And so the commercial itself, and we'll play a clip at the end of this so you can kind of hear it, and we'll put a link below if you want to go watch it. Chances are you've seen it or seen a parody of it, as it's been done multiple times. But what it is, Joe is limping through the tunnel after a football game, it looks like. He's got his jersey draped over his shoulder pads, and a kid holding a freshly opened glass can of Coke says, "Hey, Mean Joe," offers Mean Joe a Coke. Joe accepts and takes a dramatic drink of the Coke. And as the kid walks away, knowing his Coke is gone, you hear, "Hey, kid, catch," as Mean Joe throws his jersey. And the kid says, "Wow, thanks, Mean Joe." And you hear the jingle for Coke and a Smile, as Mean Joe smiles to the camera. It's a very simple premise. It was actually shot at a high school stadium in Mount Vernon, New York. And Joe actually says it took several times for them to get it just right, as he was drinking the Coke so much that he was burping every time during the takes. So it took 3 days to film this one small commercial. Now, in making the commercial, no one ever thought this would be one of the biggest, most popular commercials ever created. They thought it was a nice commercial. The message was good, and it was nice to see a softer side of the Mean Joe Greene. And it actually first aired during an ABC Monday Night Football game on October 1st, 1979. And most notably, it would get re-aired during the 1980 Super Bowl, where the Pittsburgh Steelers, featuring Mean Joe Greene, beat the LA Rams. And the connection of having Mean Joe in this commercial and him playing in the game helped lift the status of this commercial, as it's now known as one of the top Super Bowl commercials and listed as one of the top commercials ever aired. And in 1980, it was given the Silo Award for being the best commercial in 1979. And it went on to become so popular that a made-for-TV movie was made just based off this movie, made by NBC in 1981, and starred Mean Joe in the movie, where the team actually adopts the little boy, and they all become a father to the boy, learning valuable lessons throughout the movie. Now, throughout the years, it's actually been parodied by multiple TV shows and movies. It was done by Sesame Street, The Bob Newhart Show, The Simpsons, Family Guy. It's been remade by Coca-Cola's major competitors, done by Shaquille O'Neal and David Beckham. And in 2009, Coca-Cola remade the commercial with Steelers safety Troy Polamalu in the Mean Joe role. But these are all parodies, and everyone always looks back to Mean Joe and what he did, not only for Coke, but for the connection of Coke and football, and showing within that little bit of his smile how he may not be so mean. And if you want to learn more about business history, check out the History Factory, where they dive into all different kinds of ways that business has affected our history. And we'll leave you a link to their podcast in the description. And if you enjoyed this show, please leave us a review wherever you're listening. And if you put in the comments your name and a topic you would like us to cover, we'll get that done just for you. And come back tomorrow for more daily sports history. And the answer to today's trivia question: what other football player almost got Mean Joe's role in the commercial? Ray Nitschke of the Green Bay Packers, who's known for not having much teeth, would have been interesting to be part of the campaign of Have a Coke and Smile.